Hey, how you doing? This is Adam Post, publisher of more than 1,000 comic books and marketing expert covering Marvel forced to save the brand will do Punisher special on Disney Plus. This is just one special. It's not an ongoing series. It's not a separate film. It goes back to the Werewolf by Night format, just one single story in the form of one movie released on Disney Plus. But this is very important for Marvel, because they've blown their business model. I did a video on this just yesterday about how Captain America, without a doubt, shows that the woke, gender-swapped, we can do whatever we want with the brand approach from Marvel is no longer working. You're also seeing that She-Hulk is not going to be in the new Daredevil TV series. And that's a good thing, because the reaction to She-Hulk was absolutely disastrous. Jon Bernthal made an excellent Punisher, and he will be featured in Disney's new Daredevil TV series. But this approach from Marvel shows they're going back to trying to figure out how to come up with a working business model, because what they did can no longer exist. They've absolutely ruined that. But how can they introduce characters into their universe, create a following for them, and then figure out what format should that character continue as? We're not talking about video games or comic books or even animation, which I think they could be doing a lot more with animation and having a ton of success with animation. If Sony could do it, even with a race swap Spider-Man, there's no excuse for why Marvel can't do it, except they don't have the right creative people involved to be able to execute on animation properly. But this move actually makes sense. From Entertainment Weekly, Jon Bernthal's Punisher will headline Werewolf by Night style Marvel special like a shotgun blast of a story. Bernthal is also writing the Marvel special with We Own This City director Reynaldo Marcus Green, and that makes for a show that's actually going to be a good finished piece of work, because creative people who seem to care about this character are actually focused on it. You see a very different set of priorities. Now, I don't know, maybe Jon Bernthal will reveal that he's always been gay, or that he wants to change his gender, or that he did change his gender and he's really a biological woman. But I'm not expecting that. Bernthal has always spoken very respectfully about the character and the potential of the character, and even the audience, the people that appreciate the character. So we'll see a good treatment of it. From Entertainment Weekly, while Marvel continues to plot out a space for the Defenders roster of characters on Disney+, at least one will be branching off to do his own thing. Jon Bernthal's Frank Castle, also known as the Punisher, will officially return after initial appearance on Daredevil Born Again Season 1, as the actor's gun-touting Angel of Vengeance will also headline his own Marvel special in the vein of Werewolf by Night or the Guardians of the Galaxy Holiday Special. Bernthal is also writing the script with his We Own This City director Reynaldo Marcus Green, who will helm the Standalone special. Quote, "It's like a shotgun blast of story, but also has all the pathos and emotion," that means feelings, "that you want out of a Frank Castle story," according to Brad Winderbaum, the head of Marvel Television. This also has an unmistakable feel of Ryan Reynolds' approach to Daredevil, having a character and an actor kind of connect in a way where the actor really wants to promote the character and has a very specific view of how the character should be presented. Now, what would be great to see is if they could give Ryan Reynolds a call and say, hey, could you at least be in like 5 seconds of this special just to kind of make it interesting and show a Marvel crossover that people would actually want to see, and it would be a lot of fun. If you listen to my videos, you know I think that Ryan Reynolds should run Marvel. But at least if he could drop in there for a few seconds, it would help the special. Winderbaum tells Entertainment Weekly the story concept for the Punisher special came while filming Season 1 of Daredevil Born Again, which will premiere 2 episodes on Disney Plus this March 4th. On that show, Charlie Cox's Matt Murdock goes to Frank, quote, because he needs something done that he's unwilling to do. Winderbaum previously teased, and Frank, a bull in a china shop, drives right to the heart of the matter. Quote, Bernthal is a generational actor, Winderbaum says. He's incredible what he brings to all the roles he plays, but particularly Frank Castle. And he's a great writer. He knows the character inside and out. Also, I love Punisher. But I love Jon's Punisher in particular. The idea that he's in the MCU and can bring that to the greater universe, especially the more grounded street-level stuff, is a huge opportunity, and as a fan, the greatest thing ever. The more that Marvel can do to introduce legitimate characters back into their universe, who have motivations for the actions they're actually taking, have a character arc, have a history, have a present, maybe even have a future, that are legitimately struggling with their issues, the more relatable and the higher the quality of the entire Marvel Universe. A Punisher character done well, a Daredevil character done well, any characters in the universe actually done well will draw people back into the MCU. The business model is broken. It can be rebuilt, but they have to do what they did with Deadpool and Wolverine. Yes, that means get Ryan Reynolds in whatever you can. But aside from that, have character integrity and give people what they want from that character. And Marvel is doing that with this Punisher special. Daredevil Born Again also returns Vincent D'Onofrio as Underworld Kingpin Wilson Fisk, Deborah Ann Wall as Karen Page, Eldon Henson as Foggy Nelson, Islet Zur as Vanessa Fisk, and Wilson Bethel as Benjamin Poindexter Bullseye, all veterans of the original Netflix Daredevil series, with Bernthal's Frank Castle. The Punisher also received his own spin-off show on Netflix that ran for 2 seasons from 2017 to 2019. In this new age of the Defenders on Disney+, the Marvel team is also mulling plans to bring back some of Matt Murdock's cohorts, namely Kristen Ritter's Jessica Jones, Mike Coulter's Luke Cage, and Finn Jones's Danny Rand Iron Fist. Quote, I can't say much, Winterbaum said earlier, but I can tell you it's so exciting to be able to play in that sandbox. I can just say that all those variables taken into account, it certainly is something that is creatively extremely exciting and that we're very much exploring. When Marvel decides they have a character that they want to exploit one way or another, they want to create a film, they want to create a TV series, they have a few options. They can do a standalone character film, like they just did with Captain America. That did not work out so well, because there was no built-in audience for this version of Captain America. It was never part of something that people actually cared about who care about the MCU. It was about using the popularity of the MCU to push their agenda so they could have more diverse characters. That's not a product. That's not something people are actually trying to buy. So while they can do a single character, and maybe the Punisher would be popular enough to sustain a single movie, and then potentially even a series of movies, they're not there quite yet. They don't know how to justify doing a single movie based on a single character anymore, especially not after all the money they're going to lose on this Captain America debacle. So they're not doing a standalone film for him. At least not yet. They could put the Punisher into an ensemble cast, or take any character and put them into an ensemble cast if there's interest and demand for the character, or if there's real story possibilities where you'd say, you know what, this character, because of who this character is, really belongs in this ensemble cast. It depends. If there's a story purpose, and if there's interest from the fans. They could have just said, you know what, John Bernthal, he's a great guy. He seems like he would attract a regular audience. Let's just do another series of The Punisher. Let's do a TV series and commit to doing 8 episodes, 16 episodes, whatever. The problem with that is they're very limited in terms of how many episodes they can really afford to do for Marvel under Disney+. The viewership of the Marvel shows on Disney Plus has not been good. And the budgets for these Marvel shows are really astronomical. The Daredevil budgets, when it was done with all the reshoots, who knows how much money they even spent. At a minimum, it was like $25 million per episode before they did the reshoots, and the reshoots were massive. From Cosmic Book News, yes, Rob Liefeld is correct. Daredevil Born Again was a comedy series. So they had to completely change the nature of the show, especially if you believe this. But we do know they did massive reshoots to Daredevil Born Again to make it a viable project. And it looks like, as a series, it does seem to be viable. People are excited to see what it looks like when it comes out. But there's also a severe limit to what you can do when you're expressing your characters and your story and your larger universe through ongoing TV series. Through all of those episodes, there are budget constraints, resource constraints, talent constraints. John Bernthal has other things to do potentially. He's acting, he's doing different things. A standalone film makes so much more sense than trying to do an ongoing TV series until he's ready, the market's ready, the budget's ready, and they don't have to rush or do anything crazy with it. At least it's clear in deciding what format they're going to do to exploit the Punisher character and bring this character to the fans. And when I say exploit, I don't mean in a bad way. I mean, use what you have. It's a compelling character. It's worked in a lot of formats. And you've got a great actor who's also a writer who really understands the character. it does show. They're not concerned about his gender. They're not concerned about his sexual preferences or if he might change his gender before the show actually comes out. All of those distractions, all of their old attentions, that's all getting pushed aside. This really looks like they're just trying to make something good, which is what they have to do if they're going to survive. During their disaster on the release of the She-Hulk TV series, I had suggested on videos they should have just done She-Hulk as a single standalone Marvel special show, just like they're doing now with The Punisher. Because the attitude of people who follow Marvel and the MCU, for people that understand it, is this. They understand it comes from the culture of the comics, that you can have one off, wacky, inappropriate, not good, single episode of something, and you will still even consider it canon, just not something that's your favorite, but you'll still consume it. There are plenty of us who bought Marvel's comics as kids back when they were good, and we were comfortable with the idea that, yeah, they weren't all going to be great. Almost all of them were great, but sometimes they would try something new, or we would buy She-Hulk, even though we didn't want She-Hulk because it was kind of part of the universe anyway, and you wanted to feel like a completist. But when you produce so much of it, and it's so terrible, and then of course you attack the fans on top of it, it's enough to get people to stop buying it. And similarly with the comics, when it was clear they were producing too many comics for that core group of people who were passionate about Marvel to continue to buy the comics, is when they really started to lose people as well. And that's the strength of a standalone project like this, a single Punisher special, which they could be doing with several other characters. Regardless of their gender and their sexual preferences, they can actually just find a good actor, find the right character, develop a good story, put a good team together, and do it on a very limited budget where they can't lose money. Because something like this, if they spend $25 million on a typical Daredevil episode, maybe they'll spend $50 or $75 million on this. They're not going to spend that much on it, which they will get interest from normal, regular MCU people as well as a larger audience just by putting it on their streaming service. But it can also get distributed beyond their core Disney Plus streaming service because it's just one finite special. Whether it's an hour runtime or 2-hour runtime, it doesn't make a difference. It can be on Disney's other streaming services. They could license it to other streaming services. It could be on Disney's networks. It could be on ABC. It could be on their cable channels. They could offer it on free streaming services. And all of that over time. What all of that additional distribution means, especially if they do a good job on this thing, is more people seeing the MCU brand, seeing MCU shows, getting attracted to sign up to their streaming service and consume their other products just by producing this one standalone project. It's a much bigger deal when they do a theatrical release. This Punisher project, if it comes out really good, could even get a limited theatrical release. They could make an event out of it. They have tremendous flexibility. They can't lose money. And it's really a forced return to trying to produce characters for the MCU that people actually care about and want to see. Let me know what you think of all this in the comments below. Always love to see your ideas. Please be sure you are subscribed to the channel. Click the bell for notifications, give me a thumbs up, and I'll see you again soon with another story. And if I don't see you, I will miss you.